Welcome back to Alpha Recap, your after-hours market wrap from stockalpha.ai. The markets closed with a clear theme today: platform consolidation, momentum flows, and a handful of corporate rollouts grabbing attention. As always, if you have questions, you can reach us at stockalpha.ai.
Hey, great to be here. Lots to unpack. Utilities shifting their tech stacks, a big pop in a triple leverage Nasdaq product, and Home Depot getting kudos for expanding into HVAC services. So, what really stands out here is how different parts of the market were being driven by structural bets and short-term flows at the same time.
Exactly. Let's start with the utility story because that one felt more strategic than newsy. The sector signaled a move away from best-of-breed point solutions toward unified, native platforms that tie customer data and operations together in real time.
Right. And the other thing is, this wasn't just about swapping software. Analysts said it changes vendor economics and procurement cycles. So it's more like rewriting how utilities budget for technology and operations, and how vendors win long-term contracts.
Simple way to think about it. Instead of 10 separate apps that barely talk to each other, companies want one system that handles the meter, the customer service, the field ops, all in one place. That reduces friction and makes operations and maintenance costs more predictable.
Predictability is huge for capital allocation. If O&M costs become steadier, utilities can plan bigger investments elsewhere or negotiate different vendor terms.
And that ties right into OT cybersecurity. The ISA released the program for the OT Cybersecurity Summit in Durham, North Carolina, which reinforced that operational technology security is top of mind.
Yeah, that tracks. When you unify platforms, you make the whole system more efficient, but you also make an attack surface bigger. Analysts noted that post-summit product announcements or standards updates can act as catalysts for security vendors.
So watch for vendor contract announcements, service partnerships, and utility IT roadmaps. The winners will likely be vendors who can deliver depth and integrate hardened OT security, not just bolt-on point products.
Quick reaction. Makes sense that integration wins. Less integration drama for the utility, fewer invoices, cleaner SLAs. Short sentence. Big implications for vendor revenue models.
Switching gears to corporate strategy and product commercialization, this is where trade shows, analyst notes, and promotions showed up in the feed today.
Let's do Home Depot first. Jefferies reiterated coverage and highlighted the HVAC rollout as a growth driver. Analysts frames the service expansion as a move toward higher touch, potentially recurring revenue.
Which matters, because services often means stickier customer relationships and different margin profiles. But, and it's a big but, analysts said the key follow-through items to watch were execution metrics, unit economics, gross margins, and rollout timing.
Honestly, I was a bit surprised by how much attention HVAC is getting. It's a smart way to monetize foot traffic and parts inventory. But the economics depend on installation costs and follow-on service revenue.
Exactly. Then you had Kyocera AVX at APEC 2026, showing components for high-power applications. Varistors, capacitors, connectors aimed at 5G, automotive, aerospace, medical. Trade show rollouts like that can presage pilots and production wins.
And at the BOAU Forum, Vivo showcased a blue technology matrix and a perception system marrying imaging and AI. Device-level AI continues to be a theme, and that cascades to camera module suppliers and AI compute vendors.
Don't forget Lifetime's Spring Black Friday campaign, offering discounts up to 60%. That's a near-term demand stimulus, but it could pressure gross margins if discounts stick for too long.
Spring Black Friday. I love the marketing. But yeah, promotions shift sales timing. Analysts will be watching fulfillment rates, return rates, and whether there's any follow-on sales data.
So the pattern here. Companies are balancing product innovation with commercial execution. Trade shows, promotions, and service rollouts are the mechanisms that translate R&D into revenue. but execution cadence matters.
Short reaction, execution beats announcements.
Let's hit the market microstructure color because it was loud today. Momentum flows dominated intraday activity, led by leveraged and thin-cap names.
And that means elevated risk appetite. Momentum traders were in control for parts of the day, which can decouple prices from fundamentals in the short term.
The number that really caught our eye? The triple leverage Nasdaq product jumped about 3.5% to roughly $44.57 on about 137.7 million shares traded.
At the same time, one low-priced, high-volume name climbed about 3.2% to about $2.09 on roughly 197.3 million shares. Heavy turnover and that kind of volume often point to momentum trading or short covering.
That kind of action is exciting, but analysts reminded listeners that leveraged products amplify daily moves, so gains can flip quickly into losses. Risk management is critical.
Right. Traders needed to watch whether volume sustained into the next session. If you get follow-through, it's a flow story. If volume collapses, those moves often reverse fast.
Short reaction, high reward, high risk.
Okay, let's run through the thematic growth and the quick hits we were watching today.
A research note projected the sustainable packaging market would exceed $476 billion by 2032, which supports a longer-term narrative around alternative materials and regulatory-driven demand.
That kind of number suggests materials suppliers and packaging equipment makers could see input shifts and margin pressure as volumes migrate. M&A and repositioning are likely follow-ons.
Raza Legal appointed a new board member with ex-LegalZoom experience and announced nationwide expansion. Analysts said leadership hires like that often signal ambition to scale and could attract institutional interest if execution follows.
Short reaction. Governance moves can matter more than they seem.
Rapid-fire recap. Utilities trended toward unified platforms. The ISA OT Cybersecurity Summit program dropped. Vivo showed imaging and AI progress at BOAU Forum. Sustainable packaging forecasts looked big. Home Depot got an analyst reiteration around HVAC. Lifetime launched a deep discount campaign. And, again, momentum was visible in leveraged and thin-cap names.
So, what should listeners watch next? A few practical items were flagged as market movers tomorrow and in the next few days.
First, any vendor or utility contract announcements tied to unified platforms could move software and services names. Second, post-summit follow-ups from the ISA event, product launches, partnership announcements, or standards could reset sentiment for OT security vendors.
Third, watch whether that leveraged Nasdaq products flows continued into the next day. Momentum continuation was the key signal. Fourth, look for management commentary or analyst follow-ups on Home Depot's HVAC rollout, especially around timing and unit economics.
And trade show follow-through. Any supplier partner disclosures from Kyocera AVX or device OEMs tying demos to purchase orders would be important supply chain signals. Also, track lifetime sales metrics to see if promotions translate into sustainable revenue or margin pressure.
Final note of caution. Analysts reminded us that product roadmaps and event coverage are directional, but near-term price action can be dominated by flow and sentiment. So, interpret announcements with an eye on execution and trading context.
Takeaways in plain English. 1. Utilities moving to unified platforms is a multi-quarter story that favors integrated vendors with strong OT security. 2. Services rollouts, like Home Depot's HVAC push, are being viewed as higher value revenue levers, but hinge on execution. 3. Today's momentum in leveraged and thin-cap names highlighted short-term flow risk. Volume mattered as much as headlines.
And remember, these are analyses and data points. Analysts note trends. They don't recommend specific trades here. This is informational only.
If you want to drill into anything we covered, head to stockalpha.ai. If you have questions about anything we covered today, head to stockalpha.ai, where you can ask us directly and we'll answer live. For more market analysis and insights, visit stockalpha.ai.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back after the next close with more recap and context. Yeah, absolutely. See you then.